on a team that is currently sitting last in the region and a team that is looking to possibly still somehow finish first. Unsurprising, the very first ban coming out from Spacestation is going to be a Hibana. Usually we see one of the hard breachers get banned here on Bank, and Hibana tends to draw the short straw.
We'll follow that up with a Jackal ban from Excelerate. Not a big shock here. It's Bank. Jackal's a mainstay on Bank for clearing out the vast roaming capabilities just given the size of this map. So not having a Jackal at your disposal, monumental here. A smoke taken away from Excelerate as well. Interesting. Pojo notoriously played smoke for a very long time on the side of Dark Zero on that whole roster, but hey, they have other options, and he is still a flexible anchor player. The last ban coming out will be an Echo ban. So we still have Mira, we still have Maestro, but two of your plant denial operators are taken away, and two of your operators that make things a lot easier on the attacking side also removed from opportunity.
4 smoke players in this matchup if you consider Thinking Nade, Brian, and Bosco on the SSG side, and then Pojo as well on the ExG side. You know, we've seen Bio be able to play the Echo quite diligently. Echo is gone. FaZe notoriously bans Hibana and Echo in Latin America almost, well, they used to. They don't do it as much anymore, but in the earlier part of the season and previous seasons, they used to do it quite a bit. I'm very interested to see what Bio is going to be playing on defense. I would imagine they're probably going to stick him on Mira or Maestro duty, and then the other will likely go to Pojo, man. I don't expect to see Pojo playing a more aggressive role than that. I think you'll kind of keep him down in sight.
Wouldn't be at all shocked, but we're going to start things off with Spacestation on the defense on Bank, and they're going to head to Lockers and CCTV. To start things off, Schlongi will be picking up the Glaz, and Schlongi's been very hit or miss lately. He's had some games where he's gone off the rails and absolutely kept ExG afloat in games that they otherwise had a tough time in. He's also had games where he's been quite silent in comparison to some of his teammates. It's also, I guess, hotly debated as to why Thomas was the one taken away from the roster for Accelerate. Nonetheless, that's how it broke down. Pojo will be starting off on the Maverick role. So you still have the opportunity to open up some hatches, should Pojo be able to be efficient with that Surrey torch and the gas tanks that are at your disposal. Hopefully splitting up the 5 tank capacity that torch has at your disposal between 2 hatches. So you still get the same kind of effect with Hibana. You just lose the ability to get these mirrors at range. And that's kind of a big factor when you're worried about maybe a CEO defense and trying to attack onto that basement. You're not really trying to take down those mirrors, but at the end of the day, there will be other sites where they have much larger implications.
I feel like it's been ages since we've seen a Glaz on Bank outside of attacking CEO, really?
Yeah.
If you know that the team you're playing up against runs CEO as its secondary site, then you'll run a Glaz with it. I feel like we've seen SSG actually run that on attack. I feel like we've seen Reciprocity do that as well, back when they were Cloud9. But I could be wrong on that one. It's just been so long. Usually what you see is Jackal, but I mean, Jackal's gone. I don't understand why Thinking Nade was being that aggressive on the doorway. And Achieved is just going to be able to get a very easy opening kill here.
It's quite shocking as well, because Chala had the call on the pulse with the cardiac sensor up, but thermic charge will detonate without impediment. Crusher as well, going to be opening up the far wall, a strategy that isn't utilized too often, because it actually will expose you to that mirror window that has been left intact, and with Twitch being brought to try and pop those from behind, and Twitch, even when a mirror is available, still falling out of play at a rapid rate. But now you've got both sides of the wall opened up, and this will help with Schlongi as he throws down some smoke grenades, the ability to see through those smokes with that fluorescent scope of his, and an explosion rings out, and that might have been another Nitro Cell, one of the most crucial utilities on the defensive side, especially in a plant scenario. Try and stall that out will be a Nitro Cell, and Thinking Nade had already surrendered 1 on the mute when he got aggressive in through that CCTV door. We eclipse the final minute point in the round. Schlongi just trying to take pot shots on a pre-fire with a DMR. Ooh, nice shots there in from Brian, but they won't connect onto the head of Crushers. He's only down to about 75 HP. And pressure in from the garage now as Crusher's going to try and attempt to plant, and Rampy will shut down Pojo as he tried to push his way in. There goes the Maverick, already doing his duties. We level at a 4v4. Brian in a standoff inside of the garage still, and Crusher re-attempting over and over. A Nitro Cell goes soaring out and will finally collect on to Crusher. The plant delayed. So there's 30 seconds left, and Rampy will rip right through on the server stairs and collect 2 bodies. It's just the last man remaining. Bio inside behind the ambulance, inside of the garage. And twisting. There's not much left to be done, and they will trade even. Bio gets 1 at the end there, but that's a situation where you allow your flank to be given up. Rampy with 3 on the round, and Spacestation. Good start, as they need to go on a miraculous run just to make it to Milan. Hey, it's a good start for them to set the tone early.
I wonder if when Crusher was going for the plant there, they just didn't hear the nitro cell. It could have been comms being chaotic. It could have simply been the calamity of gunfire that was going off in the background. It could have been those dreaded bank sprinklers obscuring the sounds around them in the beautiful ambiance in the basement of the bank. I don't know. I know that sometimes people like to say that they didn't hear certain things. It could have been a multitude of factors. And the reason for that is because Crusher should have fallen off. You know that there's going to be somebody playing behind that mirror window, likely with an explosive of some kind, just simply waiting for you. And Bosco let it rip, tossed on over, and nobody bothered to fall off. Crusher was dead at that point. The glass wasn't covering. The glass pivoted at that moment towards the doorway and then had to look over towards the server stairs because that's where Rampy was playing. And he just got run right over. I also do want to ask what Biologic was doing in the garage, as belated as he was as a Thatcher. He wasn't close enough to cover. He was very far off the action. He was in the main doorway. I don't know if he anticipated that Brian was going to be hunkered down in there as long as he was as the Maestro. Maybe he was expecting a bit of an easier entrance towards the back of the site. I'm not entirely certain, but ultimately his positioning just wasn't very helpful for any kind of coverage. And whether he kills Brian or not, you still have to fetch the diffuser, which is on the other side of it. You know, essentially a chasm, because you've got 3 enemies that are going to be sitting on it, and all of them are going to be turning to your location in the garage. You cannot rotate out of that garage with 10 seconds left.
For ExG on this round, but again, establishing your top control and maneuvering your way down. Thinking Nate was quick to retreat last time and only to sacrifice his life in the end. Top control, though, means a different thing when you're attacking CEO versus Teller's Archives or lockers and CCTV. It means you have the ability to peek in through windows on your north rappel without being angled on and aggressed upon from the main lobby, as well as your top square hold. Still need majority control on the east side as Thermite of Crusher will open up one of the right-hand walls in towards CEO. This is your pretty typical progression so far from Accelerate. You're going to start dismantling some of these castle barricades that have been placed, but you still got Rampy in down below on the pulse again. Rampy's been quite elusive so far. The Nitro Cell will ring out, but it will not claim the life of Crusher as he's smart to the sound of a Nitro Cell ripping this time around and will evade the impending doom from that explosive.
If ExG are not able to pinpoint Rampy's location over the next couple rounds, he is going to live not just rent-free at the bank here, but also rent-free in their heads for the entire match. We've seen what Rampy can do on attack, especially as Ash. I signed a contract saying that I would repeatedly need to mention that he is the regular game kill leader now. He holds the record for most kills in any single map.
Yeah.
He can do good work on defense too. It's going to be Brian who starts things off, though, for Space Station. As he gets felled, he gets a little bit too aggressive. Crusher is in sight. He'll survive a tangle with that C4, but there you have it. There's Rampy, but he loses it to Schlongy. Oh my goodness. Successful diffuser will go down as you see a lot of action from SSG over on the lobby side of things, but they are not assembled correctly. Diffuser's down just by the main CEO table. It's a good read from Chala. He'll fell Crusher. And now ExG will need to guard that diffuser with their lives. It's just Pojo, Man, and Achieve that'll be sitting and waiting. On rappel on the windows. You'll have to go for the run out as Bosco. He had the opportunity to take out Pojo wherever is Achieved. Only 2 seconds left. He's not close enough. Can he get it in the nick of time? He will! Achieved can almost single-handedly take this round away. Bosco will need to come on back in, and now Chala's up. But we'll see if Achieved can make this happen again. He goes in, he sees Chala, oh no! But he misses! He doesn't see him amidst the corpses assembled over by the chair. Chala crawls inside of them. like a tauntaun in the winter. And he's going to defuse. Space Station somehow pulled that round out. Oh my goodness.
What was that round? Okay, let's try and break that one down. Some very questionable gunfights in that round, first of all. Very nasty shot from Brian onto the IQ. I believe it was Bio, repelled on the north windows. And then re-engaging, gets downed, but not finished off. And then there was that whole Rampy situation downstairs, which I guess I'm just going to brush over that because there was much more to be done there. Chala. I guess it's the F3 charm, man. He gets to play Mira again. He's back in his old ways, doing some Chala things. Man, beautiful play there from Chala to tuck in. And unfortunate there for Achieve, just unable to spot the Mira tucked into the desk. Hitting the defuse for 7 unimpeded seconds. Space Station Gaming, we said their fate was not only in their hands, but luck seems to be abound for the rocket ship looking to take off. And the Twitter account for Space Station Gaming noted this as a free win in their advertisement for the game. I'd like to say that certainly not free, but full of chance happenstance that seems to be falling their way right now. A 2-0 lead, and now Space Station Gaming avoiding Teller's Archives. They'll still utilize it in this setup, but they defend Staff in open area.
Interesting. I got to imagine that with the way that SSG tends to play bank, they bring something for this occasion in order to try to bait ExG in. I think it was Space Station that played it similarly in a regular season North American Pro League match when they played upstairs defending CEO, and they retook from, I believe it was the supply closet if I remember correctly. But as you can tell, sometimes the exact definition of when this happens is tough.
Bio there on the electronics detector, spotting Thinking Nade on a camera. He's able to drop him to 50 HP off rip. It's the power of the IQ sensor, especially with the range being at 20 meters once again. However, Chala, as Amira, is in the basement. Bottom main stairs right now. The breach charges will ring out and afford visibility into the objective and into the small office, but you can see the wide expanse that Space Station Gaming have taken horizontally across the map. Got another Electro Claw coming up, but it'll be disabled by the secondary EMP laid down by Pojo. Drones coming in now from Achieve. We'll finally assess the situation and spot out Thinking Nade inside of Archives. So 50 health taken away from Bio. It'll be Achieve looking to claim the last 50.
We'll see how much here of a struggle Excelerate is going to have. That should have been a cleaner hold for Space Station on that last round. Achieve should not have been able to go in and get that kill, as he did. It was more of Excelerate just capitalizing on the mistakes that were presented from SSG. It's not a Teller's Archives defense yet. That's where a lot of the opportunity that Excelerate is going to find to pick up kills will come from. And there you go, Thinking Nade dropped. As Excelerate taking their time, but Rampy will answer back. He picks off Schlongy as you hear an air jab go off, but it'll be a bit belated because the Nomad is gone. Good hold also inside of the staff area as Achieve just watching that main doorway. It actually looked like his first explosive missed. Chala's off site, he's playing by the stairs. He'll shut down Bio, and Excelerate just unable to descend the way that they need to. This, unfortunately, for Excelerate puts them in a position where they're either going to have to drop the hatch or come around through Teller's Archives. But Achieved has used all of his utility, and he doesn't have a way to get through those castle barricades. He's gonna have to move on around. Pojo walks right in, gets taken down, will not get finished off. There goes Crusher. Chala, big moments from Chala so far in this matchup. Looking for a third, but Achieved is there, takes him out. Can withstand if need be, but it doesn't matter. The time is gonna work against them. It's a perfect rotation for Space Station as they take 3 through 3. And they can go back downstairs to lockers. Excelerate have gotten close in a couple of those rounds, but close doesn't count for much here. They'll need to do better over the next 3 as Space Station are in very good position so far.
Only in horseshoes and hand grenades.
That's correct.
Nonetheless, it's a 3-0 lead for Space Station Gaming right now, and it's hard not to understand why, as that round was a clinic. There was just way too much investment for Space Station Gaming across the entirety of the main floor there for Excelerate to handle. They do a good job of at least opening up hatches, but Space Station, no cares in the world for the actual objective of open area where a possible plant could come down. The possibility for a retake way too strong, and two members of Excelerate push down the main stairs into the waiting arms of both Chala and Rampy. And I must say, Chala right now having a resurgent game. I talked last week on the Friday on the EU broadcast about Gomfy. Now he dropped not the greatest performance on Bank the week before last. And then he came back in for Mouse to be able to drop, I think it was 15 or 17 kills in the game. Chala, for a while now, hasn't really been top of the scoreboard, I guess, in terms of frags, but the man is leading the way for his team right now, and this is the old Chala that I honestly miss. I miss seeing Chala go off like this, and it's well-deserved, honestly. Still a wonderful support player and been an incredible contributor for the majority of Space Station Gaming's runs through tournaments and online seasons. And Bosco right now is just having the worst time trying to get a Valkyrie game.
You got it. He's got it. He's got it. I believe in him. I believed in him.
It finally gets done. And there'll be a lot of server stairs focus here. The thing for Excelerate on this one, don't let Rampy go for the flank. Last time around, Pojo on the flank hold was the lone man upstairs. He fell to Rampy, and then it all came falling apart after that.
I find it amazing that Excelerate has been bringing a Nomad, yet have not been able to shut down the flank routes. And I think a lot of that is also because of how big Bank is. We touched on this in the first map, is that Nomad excels in areas where there are close quarters. That's why you see her a lot on Oregon. That's why you can see her brought on Villa. That's why you see her brought on Border. But Bank, they're big hallways with tall ceilings. And there's lots of room for you to maneuver around and not put yourself in a position where you'll get, you know, pinged by an air jab. Now, we heard one go off in the previous round, but there was nobody there to capitalize, which is very different from the Rise Nation Rogue game where we saw Acid and the rest of his team capitalizing on the fallen enemies. So if Rampy can be able to rotate around, there's going to be Nomad in play that he needs to worry about. Rampy's situated for the time being on the server stairs. He'll lose his deployable shield cover, back up all the way down to the bottom of the stairs, put down an ADS. He's got to assume that somebody's going to push him. He'll turn tail and run. The waiting arms of Thinking Nade, and that will be a full push now for Excelerate down those stairs as SSG have completely fallen off.
Curious progression there for Excelerate is they didn't have the A-bomb hatch open to wait for Rampy's retreat. Or the server hatch. Obviously, you can't get the server hatch too easily with Rampy on the stairs, but if you have the CCTV hatch open, you can wait for Rampy to retreat to the site, and you could have actually grabbed two, as Chala was playing in support as well inside of server. So, one step in front of the other there for Excelerate, and now they have a minute to try and convert this 5v5 plant attempt. You've opened up the wall, but you still have Brian on this reverse angle that's been a constant nuisance, and it's been a very popular angle as of late. Slogging the Capitao, though, has been a good market change here for Excelerate. They'll have the ability to send smokes in without being caught out by the ADSs. The Evil Eyes will be able to cut through the smoke with visibility and possibly delay plant, but again, it's going to come down to the nitro cells and 3 at the disposal for Space Station.
Brian is wary of that push through garage that he had to tangle with last time, which was Biologic's position. Bio will be able to find Brian, and Bio's there to pick up a second. 3 kills for Bio! Shut down by Thinking Nade. There's still some life in Space Station. It'll fall on the shoulders of Chala and Thinking Nade. Thinking Nade picks up kill number 2. Achieved will be vulnerable with 10 seconds to go, and all will hinge on Pojo Man above. Nitro Cell goes off, Bio will fall off, Chala pushes up, takes out Achieved, Pojo drops, but there'll be a joint effort. 3 kills from Chala, 2 kills from Thinking Nade. What a monstrous comeback from Space Station on a round that looked all but lost. All hinging on Biologic in that garage, but a beautiful pivot from SSG within the confines of that vault. And they'll close that heavy door on any possible victory in that round for ExG. Space Station are unbeaten so far here on Bank. Once again, they'll take lockers and move to anywhere but open area. It appears that second time's the charm for CEO, and we'll see if SSG can make it 5-0.
Just, man, does Space Station look like they have a horseshoe right now.
Where would the horseshoe be, Rob?
Firmly entrenched somewhere that I'm not going to mention because I like my job.
In their pocket.
Yes, in the back pocket.
In their back pocket.
In their back pocket. A beautiful attempt there from Bio, but man, Chala again with the timing. Chala again with the timing. It's another 3 for him on the round, like he's up to 8. Oh, this is bringing me back. This is getting me nostalgic right now. Love seeing Chala perform like this. It's been a long time coming in. Yes, indeed. He's 8-1 right now. On the side of Excelerate Gaming, there's a couple holes in the play there that allow for that kind of comeback and that kind of dominance. So I really liked Pojo's play up top at the hatch when he shut down Thinking Nade's Nitro. He shot it clean out of midair. But then he turned his angle away. And as he turned his angle away towards the CCTV door, that's when Chala decides to vault in. It's missed opportunity on timing. You're never gonna pinch at the same time like that. If I'm Pojo there, instead of having the hatch control, I'm probably down in server with my planter to try and keep him alive and have angle on both sides.
What was Pojo watching?
He flipped back and forth.
He allowed, was it Chala, to stand up on the desk in the middle of the site, which you can see from that hatch. So I am a little confused as to where Pojo was looking, unless he was trying to possibly hold Thinking Nade coming out of the door leading from red. That would be my guess, which is just such unfortunate timing, if that's the case. Also, the better question was, did Excelerate have a drone anywhere nearby to possibly give Pojo that information? Because if not, then you can't fault him just for simply trying to cover too many angles all at the same time. So, well, pardon the profanity from Thermite, as it appears that the CEO wall will go off quite effectively in the moment that the exothermic charge blows up. Will be a double duty for Crusher, using good utility, but also getting the kill onto Rampy, who was instrumental on the roam for Space Station over the last 3/4 rounds. This is as much of a factor in the most recent round, but he was pivotal on CEO. He's going to be out of the equation for the time being and set us up for the final half. Excelerate really haven't done too much except for open up that CEO wall, which some teams can do very quickly. Others will do at the very end before they rush in to go for the plant.
Yeah, Bio finally laying claim to those north windows as a plant attempt is coming out now from Crusher and behind the desk, and Nitrocell, and that'll still catch Crusher though as he tries to escape. Chala on 9, now stuffed inside of the janitor closet. You still have the mirror to watch for anyone rotating in, as Thinking Nade is still on his roam. So it's up to Chala and Brian right now, stationed on the objective to lock things down, install the plant attempt. The diffuser is surrendered on the entryway of that breach hole. You've got pings coming out into the main lobby onto 1, and it appears to be achieved. Maybe Schlong is, he's the only one with flashbangs. He's trying to work his way up those spiral stairs. There's 40 seconds remaining, so plenty of time to work with for Excelerate as they have gone through their progressions. It's now down to the site execute. Schlong waiting for rotations outside of Banano, and a myriad of pre-fires will not connect one singular bullet as they all rattle off the bulletproof mirror. Pojo now trying to attempt a plant now, and Chala will miss the shots through the soft wall. You've got repels out from Bio, and the plant will go down from Pojo. A 4v3 advantage now for Excelerate. They're in a position similar to this last time around, but in good position now is achieved outside of the closet, waiting for Chala's exit. Now Thinking Nade on his retreat to the objective as well, will be cut down by Schlongy. So Brian left alive in a 1v4, twisting inside of the conference room, is unaware of which angle to take first. He's got to limit his 1v1 exposure, and that'll be achieved, closing things off from inside of the janitor closet, pressed right up against a still intact mirror. But nonetheless, it's Excelerate finally bringing one back. They stop the bleeding. It's still a 4-1 lead for Space Station.
A very good round from Excelerate as well.
Yes.
Once you lose Bosco and Rampy, I don't think Space Station really knew how to do much after that, and despite the fact that they found themselves down 2 bodies on round number 4, Locker CCTV is a very different beast from being able to hold CEO upstairs, especially when you're going to need to have, at minimum, the same amount of bodies as the attackers, because you know one of them is likely going to be repelled on windows. You need to jump out the window, presumably get the kill, and then find your way back in the building, which usually kills about 10-ish seconds on the clock. That's what Bosco did when we saw a CEO defense from Space Station in round number 2, but it was a 2-2 at that point. So you had the opportunity to make that play because you weren't worried about trying to cover too many angles. You find yourself battling back from CEO. There's just so much you have to watch. You have to watch Skylight Stairwell. You might have to watch Janitorial/Stock. You might have to watch the windows. Who knows where they're going to be? But the site is very friendly to you to get the plant down as an attacker and then get the hell out of there. And that's what most teams will do. Excelerate did it. They played it perfectly. They just sat and waited. and Spacestation were unable to win the fights that they needed to, given the positioning that the attackers have as an inherent advantage. So instead of going to CEO for a second time in a row, I think they saw how catastrophically bad that went for them. They'll go back to open area. Now, what happened last time we saw open area? 2 castle barricades. As a utility-starved Excelerate Gaming did not have either time nor tool to be able to break them open, and by Jove, it appears we have the same setup.
Identical setup coming out here for Spacestation Gaming as they really invest into the horizontal setup, as holding CEO really doesn't do a whole lot for you when you're trying to defend staff in open area. You can try and, I guess, retain purview in towards the stock hallway to try and stall them out from getting hatches, but you've got no opportunity for dropping. You've got to rotate down through the main lobby at that point because they will have square stairs locked down. And you won't be able to open up these hatches, obviously, because you kind of need them closed to keep the site available. So instead, they elect to go for the horizontal spread all across the main floor and even utilizing the basement as possible rotation points. As, like you said, they've got those castle barricades set up as a hard set wall. And thinking they're well aware of this drone coming in from Achieved again. We're seeing a lot of replication from the last time this setup transpired. You got the drones coming down, and I imagine Excelerate this time won't be caught off guard by the Chala and Rampy duo at the base of the main stairs.
That was really what it came down to, right? They didn't really seem to have information on Accelerate's side, and what do? Well, they push on down the main stairs on separate occasions, and both of them die. Speaking of, that'll be Bosco, who wears the mantle of dead body. He'll cosplay a corpse for the remainder of this round, as he does manage to get off his successful impact trick onto the hatch, which means that there will be some cover for the remainder of his team, but he pays for it in the process. Just a good correction from Excelerate. You stuck Achieved upstairs by that trading room over the hatches, utilizing his utility quite poorly. I don't know. Hello, Rampy has unaware of the bullets from above as he was too preoccupied with Achieved, who is winning this round almost single-handedly for the rest of this team at the moment. Achieved has been so good. As is the rest of Excelerate, Crusher and Achieved will double up, and Spacestation will just be left with Brian yet again. It was a 1v4, now it's a 1v5. It'll be more damning circumstances for Brian. It helps that he has an Elda in his hands, but things can go bad to worse on open area very quickly. And his position is given away by those proximity concussions. As he plays behind the mirror window, he's got information lined up, trying to peek around the soft wall. He's going to be quite exposed, and there you go, all of his cover gone. There'll be a breaching round shot up from the Ash, and Slongy will be able to do the rest of the work as well, flushing them out and then knocking them down, all on his lonesome. It's a one-man army, essentially, while the rest of his team were trying to waltz on into the site. We'll switch sides now with Spacestation finishing their rounds on defense. They'll move over to attack, and Excelerate have very nicely tied 2 rounds together. Can they keep the momentum here in the second half as they go to defense?
So Spacestation Gaming, in the last couple rounds, they run back exactly what they did in the first time they ran those sites. The first time they ran the sites, it was enough to catch Excelerate off guard, and I think quite fairly, a couple mistakes made on the side of Excelerate Gaming that afforded Spacestation those rounds. This time, Excelerate correct those mistakes, and they handily win the last 2 rounds of the half. The problem is you're not going to have the book on Spacestation's attacks as cleanly because they won't have to replicate identically as Spacestation did on their defenses. We head into the half at a 4-2, and we lockers and CCTV is the primary defense for Excelerate, as Spacestation elected to do so as well. Still Chala leading the way right now with more than double the next member of his team, and just 1 shy of beating every other member combined. He'll be put on the Maverick role, as Brian will be taking up the Thermite. Very standard roles for him, as his mainstay Hibana has now been removed from the bans. Pojo on the Valkyrie. I can't remember the last time I saw Pojo on a Valkyrie. Typically, this was Jarvis on Dark Zero who would run the Valkyrie.
Or Hot.
Or Hot. Either one of them.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Could you go back to when they were Flipside, before they had Jarvis on the roster, when Adam was still on the team, but I still don't know if Pojo...
Still don't know.
All I can think of is Pojo on Smoke.
Yeah.
But I mean, your own team banned Smoke, so he obviously can't play that role.
That is how it works.
That's how it works. You know, I believe the Twitch kids say forehead.
Forehouse. It's a much better emote.
That's true. I feel like sometimes we have to slip in a set amount of gamer lingo and then hope that the powers who be above us don't get angry and cringe at us.
Yeah.
Haha, cringe going in the chat as always.
The adults. Got to make sure they don't get mad.
Yes, as the language of Twitch would say. So, yeah, but I'm curious to see how he's going to do. He's going to have some harder work now as he loses Schlongi on his team. So Pojo on the Valkyrie will need to frag well with the MPX, a gun that is a little bit divisive among different players. Very minimal recoil, acceptable rate of fire, low damage. It's essentially a glorified pea shooter at long ranges, but a shot to the head's a shot to the head. It doesn't matter what gun you're using. I mean, we've seen Psycho absolutely tear it up in Latin America on Valkyrie. We've seen Waka do the same in APAC on Valkyrie, proving that she is a very formidable operator in the right hands. We suspected that we would see Pojo playing more on site for Excelerate instead of playing aggressively off site, and I would imagine that with this being a site downstairs where almost every body can sit very comfortably, that's going to be what we see. So, Spacestation have managed to take control of most of that first floor. It appears that the remaining 4 bodies of Excelerate are all nestled into the basement. This hard breach combo that we had spoken of on Bank here, the Maverick Thermite duo since Hibana is banned, working along just as you'd imagine. That's going to be Chala inside of open area. He takes out the one small off his hatch, and then he's going for the other inside of open area. The Valkyrie camera also spotted, meaning that there's less information on ExG's side.
Space Station standing at a pretty positive point right now. You're waiting on Pojo possibly to go for a flank, but his Nitro Cell would be crucial for the plant denial. So you're in a sticky situation here, losing Schlongi so early for so little, sacrificing the side of Space Station. It's up on a roam on an island, really, with no support and no way down. Brian is getting a plant down as we speak, and they get halfway through before a Nitro Cell will rain out from Crusher, but it will not connect. One successfully baited out. You still got a second one, and Brian's on 5 HP. Good practice here to pass that diffuser off onto someone else who could tank an Evil Eye Blast right now. So that's all it would take for Brian to go down. Doesn't look like he's going to commit to swapping off the diffuser, though. He's going to stick this, and that's very precarious. Pojo, though, is taking a lot of damage. The hands of an asphyxiating bolt coming out from Bosco now. As Bio still stares down the barrel, and he'll finally connect onto Brian. The one bullet necessary. An asphyxiating bolt again going to come raining down to that partially destroyed hatch, and it'll finally clean up Pojo. There goes your only other Nitro Cell, or one of your only other Nitro Cells, as the last one will come raining in from Achieved. All the Nitro Cells have now been expended, but there's 5 seconds left. Achieved on 20 HP and a vault attempt here, but Bosco's going to have to drop the hatch. He's downs off Achieved, the plant going down, but no! Bio in behind Bosco! Oh no, the most unfortunate circumstances. They drop on one another, you see in that external view. Inches.
A lot of people are going to look at the way that Bosco went prone and the animation of his legs kicking out in front of him, actually stopping him from being able to take out the pulse, which is why he dropped. But that didn't really matter, because as you pointed out, it was the Maestro who was of far more consequence. And even if Bosco had have killed the pulse earlier, it's unlikely that he would have known that the Maestro was pushing onto the plant. Really unfortunate circumstances from SSG, but the bigger focus was on their time management. It was very poor. People are also going to focus on the fact that Bosco got that beautiful asphyxiating bolt kill through the hatch that was designed specifically by SSG to be able to take out the pressure that ExG had in red, which was Pojo playing there. But I think that's masking a bigger issue with Space Station, was that you allowed the Maestro to exist inside of Garage with very minimal contest at all. Say what you want about ExG's pushes on attack, but Bio was ultimately successful on at least one round and able to take and was essentially able to take out the Maestro in the Garage, which put a lot of freedom on the rest of his team to move, because SSG now needs to be more aware of their flank because they know that Bio is coming in that way. Incidentally, it was Bio who was playing inside of Garage on the Maestro. Obviously very familiar with that role, as he's going to be in there either as an attacker or a defender. And Excelerate ends up winning the round, I would say, before the execute even happened. That round was over. There was minimal coverage on the C4s that were being played inside of Vault, because even after Pojo Man went down as the Valkyrie, you still had the pulse there as well.
I was really confused there by Accelerate's setup as well in defense, as far as just putting Schlongi upstairs inside of CEO and letting him die, basically. There was no support for his roam and didn't have much effect. As soon as he was droned out, he had 0 escape, so could have put that 416 to better use throughout the round, but hey, they still get it by the skin of their teeth nonetheless. But hey, it's Bio in these clutch situations, man. We saw it in the top 5 plays that played right before we went live today. And again, we see Bio in another clutch scenario where all he has to do is down the man with a diffuser. So we now go and turn our attention towards CEO, as that's the elected defense in round number 2 on the defensive half for Excelerate Gaming. And Valkyrie Cam spotted out as you've got someone looking to impact trick, and it's going to be Pojo, man, in behind the wall. And achieved, though, coming up from the server stairs. There goes Brian. There goes your breach. Space Station in big trouble.
Brian was the first casualty as well last round. And not only is Brian capable of playing well offensively, but you've also lost, as you noted, that hard breach. Teams are not always going to bring a Maverick, assuming that it's going to be Teller's Archives or CEO, and look at what we just saw for Rampy grabbing that diffuser. Both CEO walls will remain intact for the rest of the round. There is no secondary backup hard breach for Space Station. Things are going to get really rough for them. And as you can see, the call is made, we're going to have to go through lobby. Much easier path for you to be able to go through that lobby without hard destruction. You're going to encounter some castle barricades, sure, and maybe you could bring some hard destruction for the wall that's at the top of the stairs inside of the office that a lot of people refer to as Banana. But it's possible for you to win a straight slugfest through that main lobby. The real question is going to be, does Excelerate understand this and move somebody down those main stairs to possibly go for a rotate late through the lobby? The first confrontation after Space Station rotates is going to be over inside of Elevator. Bio just sitting and waiting. 2 kills. He gets taken out by Chala. These asphyxiating bolts have been great from the Capitals of Space Station, but it might be too late. Thinking Nade's been softened up. Bosco is still in full. Bosco will, or Thinking Nade will be taken down. That'll put Bosco on the windows on essentially what will be a suicide mission, as he will need to rappel on in. One of the most vulnerable animations. He manages to out-tussle one member of ExG, looks for a second, but it's Crusher behind the sofa. And Excelerate have now managed to win 4 in a row. And Space Station's odds of making it to Milan are evaporating in front of our very eyes.
You said it was going to be a tussle, looking more like a meat grinder there for Bio, just lining up member after member, coming up those spiral stairs with that Alda inside of the elevator. That's a tough one there for Space Station. If you've ever watched ExG play on Bank, you know Achieved is going to be downstairs with a C4 operator, and you know he's going to be roaming. That's got to be priority number 1 to lock down the server stairs for Space Station. It escapes the minds of our rocketly inclined friends. Now we turn our attention to Teller's Archives, as like you noted, 4 straight rounds for Excelerate. And I guess I'll return to this just because I like being smarmy. Space Station's social media account decided to tweet out that this would be a free win. And boy, did it look like it for half of the rounds that have transpired. Luck seems to be wearing thin, though, on the side of Space Station Gaming. As Excelerate, as they try to duct tape this together on the fly, they're piecing together some pretty successful rounds, one after another. We stand at a deadlock, 8 rounds deep. Possibility of 4 rounds remaining, but ExG could end it in 3.
Space Station tends to be a team that motivates themselves when they're together. Look at their performances on LAN over the last couple months, and they have tend to play better than they do online. And I think that we've spent quite a bit of time discussing how teams thrive in a real physical environment than when you exist in an online environment, as we see most of these teams, play their matches. Not every single team is going to make it to a LAN environment, and even fewer will make it to a finals. Space Station plays well when they're together, but they do tend to struggle online. In fact, both Space Station and Dark Zero, 2 of the 4 teams that are currently still in a spot to be able to represent North America in Italy, tend to have some struggles in the final minutes of games, in the final minutes of rounds, and in incredibly pivotal matches as well. It looked like for the last couple months that Space Station had gotten over that hump and were finally beating adversity when it presented itself in the most incredible circumstances. Not so is the case here. This, on paper, should be a game that Spacestation can count on to win, setting them up in their pivotal matchup against Reciprocity next week. But ExG are playing for their lives now to try and get out of this relegation spot. They were gifted that opportunity with Rise failing to win in their match before. There's a lot on the line here for ExG. As Achieve goes fishing with that Nitro Cell, he's not going to find anything. It's a much slower pace for SSG as they take the map control on that second floor above. But this is, for the most part, going to be do or die, as all of the momentum for Spacestation is dried up at this point.
Well, there's 2 Nitro Cells that have been sent out by Excelerate Gaming and no victims claimed. You've got mirror windows lined up on one another for Excelerate. Smart play there from Bosco up above on that sledge. His Crusher's just in a world of hurt. Both mirrors will now be opened up, and Chala will claim the life of Schlongy as well, contesting with another one inside of stock, and Rampy will tag in as the saving grace to remove Pojo Man from play. So Crusher on half HP, still floundering inside of the objective, but have to be aware it's not often that Achieved will miss a Nitro Cell like that, but nonetheless, they're able to survive the onslaught of explosives ascending towards them at rapid speed. Shotgun comes out with pure desperation now from Crusher, but Bosco's still winning this engagement rather handily. A frag grenade would get caught in the floorboards and detonate and force Bosco to tear away in fear. You've got a flank coming out now from Bio and Crusher as they have to evacuate the objective. The floorboards are all gone. There's no members on site for Excelerate, and the plant is going down. Crusher right through the wall, though, will identify Brian. Diffuser dropped, and Chala will have to recover himself on 5 HP as well. More plants coming down. And now Chala downed off. The information inside of the objective, massive for ExG as they try to go for 5 in a row. Achieved and Bio now tagging in. Bosco will fall. Chala still on the ground. The plant coming down into the overtime now from Rampy. They will all fall. ExG in an onslaught, a tidal wave, 5 in a row.
Oh my God. Once again, in the clutch, it's ExG who look better under pressure and better prepared. And that round, undoubtedly, will haunt Space Station for the rest of this game. Even with a victory, you have to look back on that round absolutely mortified. All hinging upon the play from possible Maestro camera or a Valkyrie camera, depending on what it was inside of the site, and the setup from ExG to play aggressively on those stairs. There's a lot of teams that will sit on the main stairs and shoot out that soft wall that leads inside of tellers, because you know that the common spot, default spot, which is where we saw Space Station going for the plant, is able to be hit via bullet penetration. It's exactly what the UMP did that we saw of Achieved playing on those main stairs. Excelerate played that perfectly. They fell off the moment that they knew that Space Station was coming in. They lost Schlongy early. There was a second kill that came out, if I remember correctly, on the Crusher. And what happens? Everybody from Excelerate plays farther back. You realize that Space Station doesn't have the tools to be able to flush you out of where you're playing from. And as long as you have the information, there was only 25 seconds left on that clock. There's very minimal places for you to hide inside of either of those sites. A lot safer for you to play inside of archives. But with the way that ExG was playing, SSG would have had to get closer to ExG in order to get into archives. Playing inside of tellers, very exposed. You don't really have a place for you to safely plant because the wall that leads to the main stairs that a lot of times gives teams cover by being reinforced wasn't there. Space Station just had nowhere to go in the site that they couldn't have possibly been pinched from somebody from Excelerate. And it comes down to the very final minute, the very final second. And what a turn of events for Excelerate right now. Absolutely remarkable round.
Houston, we have a problem. Space Station soaring above the stratosphere suddenly come crashing back down to Earth as that's 5 surrendered in a row to the hands of Excelerate Gaming. Chala again will begin to decipher the puzzle that always seems to be, how efficient can you be with a Surrey Torch? This back and forth, I guess, snake pattern, not usually all that successful at getting a hatch open with only 2.5 tanks surrendered as he's on that 3rd tank now. And as the hatch is still closed, no, he's going to eclipse the midway point. So again, same situation as last time around. He will not be able to open up the hallway hatch, but he's still able to open up a hatch into A. And it's the same kind of setup here for Space Station Gaming on the push. The only difference being is they don't have that Capitao, and those asphyxiating bolts being sent into the depths of Red Hall were actually massive to be able to cause so much damage to anyone trying to send out a Nitrocell and even collect a kill.
The real question, though, is what do you sacrifice for the IQ? You know that one of the major hindrances that you have encountered is that the Evil Eye cams and the Valkyrie cams, the Valk cams, have one Accelerate at least 2 of these rounds so far, almost single-handedly. You need to bring the IQ because the Thatcher is just not getting the job done. The EMPs are not going in a position where you're able to take out the intel that Accelerate is setting up. So you put Bosco on that IQ. I think that's a smart move, but that's unfortunately where you lose your Capitao because it was Bosco playing that Capitao earlier on. It's a very quick round going out, and Brian's trying to bait out this utility as it'll be Bosco now split pushing through the garage to set him up in a possible contest against Biologic. Brian will vacate the premises, and then Nitrocell will miss its target. Brian losing a bit of HP, so is thinking nade, but Bio is under quite a bit of pressure. Now he's going to get pushed from the back. Bosco not able to find anything, and whoever wins this fight will ultimately determine most of this round. Brian does get the plant down successfully, and is also able to get away before losing his life. As Bosco very low on HP, he'll rotate now, realizing that a plant goes down in round 10 with all 10 members alive. We'll hit the quarter mark. And there goes a Nitrocell, but it won't hit anything. I need to see if there's somebody playing upstairs. This is going to get exceptionally messy. Is anybody going to take an opportunity to push? It'll be Bosco first and foremost, taking out Schlongy with SSG in beautiful position, all of them walking into their crossfire. And Crusher will be the only person from Accelerate with any hope, but hope will die. Body dropping cold in the midst of the site. I know it's a bit morbid.
Christ.
But that's a big round for SSG. They needed to be able to blunt Accelerate's momentum. Accelerate aired by letting Spacestation get that diffuser down. A bit of a lack of coordination on ExG's part. Brian gets the diffuse down, gets out of there by the skin of his teeth, and we've seen teams retake that site before. But when it's a 5-5, and you still had some utility that appeared on Spacestation's side, that's difficult.
Just a failure to have the intel necessary for the plant coming through and being stuck. And again, simple missteps from Accelerate cost them their ability to not only secure themselves a point in the game, but to end Space Station's miraculous back half run. Should we note that Space Station Gaming is undefeated since coming back from the 6th Invitational. 3 wins and a draw. And they now stand down the precipice of losing their first match of the second half and losing all possibility of making it to Milan to be either the first or second seed to represent North America. It's still very much up in the air. This match will decide everything. For Accelerate Gaming, though, you're looking pretty rough there in the early goings, but you're able to cobble back 5 in a row. You only surrender 1. Got to bring back the momentum here, because you are in 7th place in North America, which means you finish the season at that point. You're going to be going against the number 2 seed coming out of North American Challenger League. Last season, that was you, Accelerate.
It was. I think a lot of people were sleeping on them at that time. A lot of people didn't think that they were going to make it on through either. And they did. Because of the way that the playoff system works in Challenger League, you don't need to finish first in your region. You just need to finish the top 4 and then just win the playoffs. That's it. I know that sounds very easy at face value, but what I'm trying to say is that it's any of the top 4 teams are capable of getting that auto relegation spot. Space Station will need to win the next 2 rounds. They cannot drop a single round between here and the end of the game, or else their run to Milan is over. A draw is not good enough. They need a victory. Full stop. Whether Accelerate wins or lose, very similar to what we saw in the Rise Rogue matchup, is that this is still a good result for Accelerate for the game to end now. There's an awful lot on the line, and you have an opportunity to not just play spoiler, but also secure a bit of, I guess, hope to get out of that final spot in 7th place. Downstairs right now for Accelerate, you got to imagine both of these teams will be exhibiting quite a bit of nerves over the next 2 rounds is how important the time will be. And SSG will be able to do all of the hard destruction need be, as Accelerate is keeping their cards close to their chest. They've got one body playing inside of server, but that's really going to be it. And burning the ADS behind the server stack is starting point number 1. Brian will do just that and then hold the angle to see if somebody will be able to push him out.
Ooh, a Nitrocell almost drops Rampy, but he will persevere. On 20 HP, will now continuously stun Pojo, and rushing him behind his deployable shield setup. Was thinking Nade. He'll collect a kill onto the mute. So again, you surrender a body. Most importantly, you surrender a Nitro Cell. And now this mirror has been popped by Bosco on the Twitch. That is monumental. You still have the opportunity to throw in Nitro Cells through that gap, but you won't have the ability to look onward and see the plant coming down or see anyone behind the server racks. Still have the pulse from Achieved for that intel. More drones come flying in, but you're in a precarious spot here if you're Excelerate. Space Station, do or die moments, they're going to go for the plant.
Brian being harassed, or Brian trying to go for the plant down as there's some harassment on Biologic, but Brian will fall off, baiting out a C4. Rampy down to pick back up. He and Thinking Nade are both very low. Keep in mind that Excelerate will be down a body, but they'll even things out. That's the planter down for Space Station, and things got bad when Brian died early last time on this site. Accelerate looking to try to add to that. It'll be Crusher who does just so. There's still a Nitro Cell behind this popped mirror window, and Achieve could possibly be an absolutely unstoppable force. Bosco takes out Bio, traded off by Schlongy, and now ExG are in great position. Rampy will be the only person, and with him falling, Space Station, a failure to launch. No playoffs. A draw at worst for Excelerate Gaming. A victory at best will end in its tracks Space Station's hopes of making it to Milan. And the playoff race in North America is now down to 3.
If you're Reciprocity with the week off, you're looking onward, or not with the week off, they play EG next. What am I saying? If you're Darkseer and Reciprocity, and you're looking onwards, you're breathing a sigh of relief. Because even if it came down to that 4-way tie, or the eventual 3-way tie where EG was the one to run away with it, EG was safe. EG would still be the number 2 in the 4-way. They'd still be the number 1 in the 3-way. For the other 2 teams, though, you look onward, and now you see a member of your 4-way conundrum exiled. You now have a guaranteed point from Excelerate as well. And when you have Rise Nation losing by technically 2 rounds to Rogue, now you've got Rise Nation in the hot seat. And for Excelerate, you desperately want this last round to acquire your full 3 points. You want to be able to push yourself out of that relegation spot and put Rise back down to the basement where they once were. It'll be a final defensive stand for Excelerate Gaming, and they'll like to go top floor to CEO. Seemingly pulling out an ace of the sleeve, Bio on the Clash. There's a lot of plant denial here for Excelerate Gaming. I like to play, though. Play conservative. Wait for Space Station to come to you. Lord knows, Achieve with an ACOG is almost as dangerous as Achieve with a Nitro Cell.
I've been impressed with what we've seen from Excelerate, though it's always a bit of column A and always a bit of column B in these matchups. You don't necessarily always have one team excelling. It takes a little bit of luck sometimes, and there has been a bit of sloppiness and shakiness on SSG, who are having their worst match of the second half at probably the worst time. Not that there's a good time to lose, but Space Station just were not able to make up enough ground this time. It turns out that their draw against Rogue has actually been quite pivotal as well, because as we mentioned at the start of the broadcast, 2 key points that they left on the table, amongst the many points that they left on the table in the first half, right? Especially with the 4 draws that they ended up getting, and it seemed like almost consecutive order. So with CEO, what happened last time for Space Station? Well, they lost Brian very early on, and then the entire walls of the CEO office stayed in place, and Space Station had to move over to the lobby, and it did not work out quite so well.
So Achieve has made it all the way into the main lobby without being spotted out, and now hopping on a drone will be Bosco momentarily and cut down from the main lobby. Achieve playing the clay pigeon with Bosco, and his life will be surrendered. The IQ and the electronic sensor also taken away, the disposal of Space Station Gaming. There goes your North Repel member as well, so you lose a huge anchor point there on the side of Space Station. The good news for our rocket ship friends is that they can still blow open some reinforced walls. Brian will successfully detonate 1 exothermic charge, as Pojo wasn't able, even with the North Repel cleared, wasn't able to impact Trick. Interesting situation there.
The other thing, too, to keep in mind for Space Station is with that last round, they know their run is over.
Yeah.
And it's going to be weighing on their minds, and it's hard to find yourself motivated after that, right? So as of now, Rogue is actually ahead of Space Station in the standings, and if SSG are not able to win, or at least get 1 point, then they're going to end up the day in 5th. The push is going to come through the dual walls of CEO rather. You'll see the shield of Bio get moved over to the side, ever so slightly, as some of the utility from Space Station are trying to shake off the shield operator on defense. But for the time being, Excelerate will just stand pat. Capital will be the spearhead for Space Station as Brian walks on in, but there's a Nitro cell waiting with his name on it, and there it goes. It'll find it perfectly. Crusher tosses it right out, and Biologic will move up now, and the longer that this round goes on, the better that Biologic will do. He gets felled by Rampy. Still an advantage of Excelerate for the time being. 20 seconds and an opportunity for ExG to move out of that last spot in North America. They'll look to hang on. They've already spoiled the party for SSG, and they're looking to continue to that and spoil the day for Rise as well. But SSG battling back, keeping it as tight as can be. Pojo will need to stop the defuse at the last second, but he needs to do great coverage through the wall. Can't find it. Pojo takes out Thinking Nade, but the wall is hard around the edges. Oh, a tussle, but Rampy will dive on up. Space Station takes at least 1 point, draws a sad face in the ceiling above. It's a punctuation mark, or punctuation characters, that will put an end to Space Station's season. Draws were SSG's undoing in the first half, and it will be their undoing as well in this one. Both teams walking away with 1 point, but the big loser today, Space Station. They won't make it to Milan. Unfortunate for them, especially with how good they play on LAN. Coming so close, yet falling short at the very end.
Well, that now means that ExG and Rise Nation are tied in points in the standings. So for that relegation battle at the bottom between two foes, keeps going back and forth. Rise taking L today to Rogue, and you've got ExG now grabbing a draw, 1 measly point against Space Station Gaming. So heading into the last week, again, there will be a lot on the line and not just the top of the standings next Monday.
2 incredibly important matches for Space Station against Rogue and ExG. 2 teams in the bottom 3 in points, and Space Station walk away with draws on both of them. They're able to stack up well against teams that are ahead of them in the standings, but they seem to struggle against the teams that might be playing with some different motivation. And in this case, Rogue had already been eliminated from the playoff chase last week, and against ExG, who'd been knocked out of the playoff race just as long ago, they were playing for a position to move out of that last spot. It'll come down to the tiebreaker between Rise Nation and ExG, which I don't have that information on hand, though Rise did just beat ExG last week, if you recall. So
it would depend on round differential because ExG beat Rise in the first half.
Yes. So it would come down to, I think it was a 7-4 if I remember correctly last week, 7-5. So we'd have to see what it was. Presumably it would be at worst a draw.
No, ExG will have the advantage because Rise didn't win more than 4 rounds in a game until the game they beat Space Station.
That's right. So it would have been a 7-4 at most, which means that it's at best ExG, or at worst ExG is a 1 round. So ExG does have the tiebreaker, which means that presumably, if that math is correct, Rise Nation will finish the day.
I think it's
last.
Correct.
We'll check.
We'll find out.
I trust your judgment. But we've been doing these new dual interviews, so to speak, getting every team on that step of the way. They go into the group stages, and they have a pretty tough group, and they emerge from that group, defying a lot of people's expectations, setting them up for that absolute showstopper against G2 in the quarterfinals that looked like it really could have gone either way.
Yeah.
And Space Station excels against really tough competition, which shows us that they've clearly worked through a lot of the nerves that they used to have at throwing away games, throwing away rounds, when adversity built up a little bit too much and expectations got a little bit too high. But the story, more than anything, as you mentioned, in that mini league, they beat their opponents. The best teams in North America, Space Station comes out on top. But against 2 teams towards the bottom of the standings in 2 weeks, do or die, they struggled.
It's a tough story. And for Excelerate, I mean, this is, I guess, a breath of fresh air and a game that is a tale of 2 stories. Mm-hmm. The first third of that game, because it went 12 rounds, first third of that game was just outright bad luck and a lot of small mistakes for ExG. It wasn't that they were completely throwing it away. It came down to dire seconds, a little bit of mismanaged time control, having to go in for those plants into the overtime, into 0-0-0 territory. However, Space Station, I mean, they looked like they had the luck on their side, and then the entire course of the match turned as soon as ExG got that first round.
And the big thing, too, when Space Station was on attack, was that Brian kept dying early. Whether he was trying to go for the plant and he got killed as he started to attempt the plant, or whether he was trying to get the walls in CEO, or just simply getting to the site, that likely falls on the people that are trying to protect your Heart Breacher. You know that when he's getting the exothermic charge down, or you know when he's trying to get the plant down, he's going to be vulnerable and exposed. Somebody needs to be able to cover him, and they just weren't getting it done. And that's something that you can fix. You can address how you protect your planter. So that is something that Space Station will now need to look at over the next X amount of weeks, because they're not going to be seen in Milan. The real winner in this matchup is a team that's not even playing today. That's Dark Zero. Because in our next matchup, with playoff implications on the line, Evil Geniuses looking to clinch their spot in Milan. Reciprocity looking to stop them, setting us up for what would essentially be a 3-team contest next week. If EG wins this match, Dark Zero clinches a spot as well. So Dark Zero, who lost to EG last week, will probably be EG's biggest fans. For Reciprocity, it's win or go home. We'll see you for the third match in just a couple minutes.